What's up, guys? It's Jake with Retic Radio. We're back. We're live. It's been a while. We've been on a little bit of a hiatus here temporarily, so I apologize in advance for that. Why is my camera not focusing? Come on. There we go. A little bit better. Yeah, so sorry about that, guys. It's been a little bit of time since we've done a video. Life's been crazy. The typical type of stuff, you know. But this is a good show. We got my good buddy Aubrey from A&B Exotics coming on here. He was just on, and I accidentally kicked him out of here, but he's going to be hopping back on here in a second. So should be a good show. So if you guys have any questions for Aubrey, make sure you drop them in the chat below or on the side, wherever it's listed, whatever platform you're watching on. And yeah, let's get the show started. Let's bring the man on. There he is. I accidentally kicked you off, dude.
What's going on, Jay?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Doing great.
Great. Good.
Yeah.
So, Aubrey, you're back. Here's Retic Radio, the second pod. Well, this will be the first podcast by myself I'm doing with you, but yeah, man, I'm excited to have you on. So, I guess I don't know if there's people that are watching that might not know anything about you or like your how you got started in Retics. If you just want to give a quick little rundown, kind of, I guess, how you got started in Retics, especially.
Retics, especially. I had all kinds of different snakes growing up. Obviously, most of us did. Burmese pythons, all kinds of stuff. Even venomous stuff when I was way too young to have it. But I had a few wild-caught retics, and it just wasn't really my thing. They're just not what they are today. Not really, not the same animals. So I ordered the first expensive trio of snakes I bought was from Bob Clark. I ordered a trio, male, 2 females, 2 lavender females, and a white male.
Okay. What year was that? Do you remember, or roughly what year?
If I remember correctly, it was 2003 or 2004.
So this is pretty recent after they first were hatched. I mean, he hatched them, I think, in 99 or 2000. The first albinos were made.
It was well before we knew you couldn't make purples with whites and lavender.
Okay, yeah.
That was the goal. You know, purples back then were so expensive.
Right.
Not that the other ones weren't, but they weren't
purple expensive.
Not the same animal, right? So I was trying to go the cheapest route, and I got that trio, and the male that Bob sent me was a nightmare. Like that animal he was a real bastard, and not having any solid retic experience behind me. After a while, it wasn't too long before I threw in the towel and actually sold them to Samson.
Really?
Yeah.
What were they? Were they hatchlings or subadults, or were they had a little bit of size on them when you got them? Or
so I told Bob that I wanted a hatchling male and 2 well-started females. And I told him I was willing to pay the difference for some older females. And he's like, yeah, no problem, blah, blah, blah. Send him the money. And I got a 8-foot male and 2 hatchling female lavenders with umbilical cord attached to their belly still. The exact opposite of what I ordered.
Exact opposite.
Yeah. But they thrived. They did well. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Sucks you had to get rid of them, but I mean, yeah, that's hard. So you said you had wild caughts before that. So what do you...
I sold them to him, but anybody who knows the original startup of Slither Inc. back when, I ended up owning the animals again later on.
Okay. So those were your first captive born retics? You said you had wild caught stuff before that?
Those were the first captive bred morph retics that we ever
How do you remember, how old were you when you got your first, let's say, wild caughts? Were you pretty young when you got them, or?
Yeah, I was probably 13 or 14. Maybe. Something like that.
That's crazy. So yeah, wild caught.
And there,
probably
had to force feed them, and they just nasty temperament. Had worms, ticks. It was rough.
Yeah, that's definitely terrible. That's like such a. I'm trying to remember. Like my first retic, I think the first one I had was a tiger, but the second one I got was a wild caught, and it was. Yeah, I thought it was so awesome having a captive born baby, you know, and I was like. Baby kind of with it because it was so friendly, ate great, and this wild caught one would piss on you and shit on you and bite you and wouldn't eat and regurge, and just it was like, this is terrible. It was horrible. It was the worst.
please try and bite me any day of the week. Just don't piss on me. Not every time I touch you. Like, please don't do that.
I think I've only owned 3 or 4, maybe like 5 wildcard retics my whole life, and I'm so glad. I couldn't imagine like the guys like you that came up with primarily wildcard, a lot of wildcard stuff, or like Bob and Jay and Kevin with all these. Nah, man, there's no way I wouldn't be able to stick it out.
Twinkie's sister was a nightmare. She was not a biter at all, but she would helicopter piss every time you touched her.
Really?
And yeah, so she was like, from the time she was a fresh hatchling all the way up until she was about 15 feet or so, she was just, every time you touched her, she was flagging her tail and pissing everywhere. I don't think most people know like the story about Twinkie. Like you and Samson, you guys bred her, right, or hatched her out, right, or did you guys get her from Alan Cindy? We bought the entire clutch. They were produced. It was the first visuals produced from that lineage of albino.
That was from Amelia, right? Wasn't that Amelia, the mom to those? I believe something like that.
I believe so. I'll be honest, man. It's kind of sad, but I never even bought into that whole storyline behind it and all that kind of stuff.
Really?
Yeah, that was. I'll be 100% honest. That was Samson's idea to buy those animals. At that point in time, we had tons of retics and projects going on.
Yeah,
I was kind of at my wits' end. I was like, we have plenty of stuff. If we can't be successful with what we have, we don't need to be buying.
Absolutely.
And they wanted $25,000 for the whole clutch.
And how many were in the clutch? Was it a decent clutch, or?
Yeah, there were 3. There was 3 normal A males, a tiger, and a super tiger.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, and there was a bunch of heads and pos head stuff. But the super tiger had an enlarged heart, so it never even made it past.
I forget. Wasn't this one of, if not the first A-male clutch, or one of the first ones, right?
These were the first visuals.
Yeah,
produced.
that's what I thought. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, first captive visuals produced anyway. And so at that point in time, I was raising up all the smaller stuff, and Samson had moved to Tennessee, and we were sending, once they got up to close to breeding size, we were sending stuff up there.
Okay.
This was before I started traveling up there and working up there, because we were we both had our own collections of both, like, really, really big collections at the point in time, and he talked me into coming together as one entity, and we were in the process of that and never actually fully entwined our collections all the way before he ended up getting in trouble. And the whole downfall of the first slithering. And that was when we parted ways. But yeah, Twinkie was like every bit of 19 feet when we sent her out to Jay.
But she wasn't named Twinkie, though.
No, we named her. I named her T-Rex.
That's such a. When we talked the other day, I remember you were telling me, and I'm like, man, that is such a cool name. That is.
You saw her in person, right?
Oh, she's massive. Yeah, she's huge.
She had that massive head for her body size. Even though she grew really fast, it's like if you power feed animals, their head tends to be really small compared to their neck and their body mass. But her head always fit her body when we had her.
Yeah.
And she had really flat ocular scales on top, and it just made her look like a raptor almost. Yeah. Like when she was young, she looked aggressive. Like you looked at her and you're like, that snake will bite your ass.
She was awesome.
She was sweet though. Yeah, she was always sweet.
She was. I saw her twice. The first time I went out to California, we didn't get a mess with her. But the second time when I went out with Shane and Travis, and we got to like pull her out, and like she looked huge. They had her in that big display right in the shop when you walk into the zoo to the left. The first time, well, both times, and then the second time we went in there, when you pulled her out, like it's pretty insane to see how big like that snake really was.
She was massive. Yeah, somebody sent me a picture. It was well after we had sent her out there, but they sent me a picture, and they had a tape measure around her midsection, and it was like 31 inches. Like, that's
not. Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I mean, I've seen some big. I mean, I've seen. When Jim Gaspar was around, he had Twiggy, that giant, like 21, a huge tiger. And then I saw Chad S., who had probably still the longest, the big Sula. It was huge, but the weight was nowhere near. Twinkie was just, I mean, I have pretty big thighs, and like that snake's thigh was, or that snake's midsection just was Never seen anything like it. It was
unreal. Like,
yeah, it was crazy.
I can't imagine the amount of food she had to have eaten out there. I can't imagine. Like the feeding regimen must have been astonishing.
Well, and then wasn't the male like 19 feet too, right? The brother was huge
big,
too.
Yeah, he wasn't that big, but he was big.
That's a big male though. That's freaking humongous, man.
Well, what happened was when I decided to call it quits and I got out of snakes completely for about 2 years at that point in time because everything had just gotten overwhelming. And at one point in time, we had about 900 animals altogether. We had 5 adult pairs of croc monitors. We had caiman, we had Burmese, a bunch of different boas. I mean, we had a ton of animals. And a 3,500 square foot building that was just wall to wall cages.
And was it just you and Samson, or did you guys have other people there working too, or what?
There was a third silent partner who's never really been in the public or snake, whatever. He was just a more of an investor anyway.
So really 2 guys for the most part then.
So it was pretty much 2 guys, and Samson never did anything but feed everything.
How the hell could you even?
Well, we did have full-time employees.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah. We had a couple of full-time. There was at one point in time, the most we ever had was 3 full-time employees.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, how the hell are you doing that like by yourself? There'd be no way. There'd be no way you could primarily do that by yourself.
It would literally take a 12-hour day just to clean water bowls. Like to go through and just clean water bowls.
God damn.
And a whole another 12-hour day to feed.
Like that just sucks the fun out of it completely. Yeah. And I can imagine why, like you said, you got out for a little bit. I can imagine that would be if that's part of the reason why. But
even with wholesale purchases, we were spending about $5,000 a month on just feeders.
Jesus, man.
Power bill was like anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 a month.
Oh my god! And you said what was it, 3,500 square feet or so?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. God, dude.
It was just too much. It took all the fun out of it.
Yeah,
it really
I can imagine.
So it was a valuable learning experience, though. I had a lot of successes, and that's kind of what I contribute a lot of my success now as a breeder too. If you have a pair of animals and you try and breed them, and you do your cycling, all that kind of stuff, your feeding, you learn a lot from a couple of animals. But if you have 300 animals, and you learn 300 times faster.
Right.
You make all your mistakes faster. You know everything just comes on like an avalanche. So that's kind of where I learned everything now, and that's why I refuse now to have my collection be too far out of control. It's like if I can't take care of it myself, I don't want it.
Yeah. Well, and it's a different time now too. Like I'm sure back then, I mean, it wasn't even like you have so many more high-powered, stacked gene animals where you don't need 2 tigers, 2 heads. I mean, you could get a 5 gene tiger female now, which basically 100%. Replaces 6 other snakes. That's I get a lot of people that always, oh man, come over to the house, or they're picking up a snake, and it's, oh man, I can't wait to have this many snakes, and I'm like. I don't even have. I mean, I don't have that many, but I'm like at my max. Like, I really don't want much more than what I have. Like, what I have now, I could realistically clean top to bottom, all the babies, everything, probably in a 10-hour period. Everything. Much more than that, if I had another 10 or 15 snakes, bigger adults, no way. I'd be done. There'd be no way I'd even want that.
That's where I am. I've got a certain number of caging, and I know that I can let things get a little bit too far gone. You know what I mean? If I've got family in town or something like that going on, then I can get out there and bust ass and clean everything. And I can do a really good job and get it all clean in one real long day.
That's a sucky day though, but
it's better to break it up and do it, little bits here and there over the week. But if you have to, I know that if one good day I can get in there and clean all the water bowls, clean all the bedding, wipe it down.
It's a lot of work, man. That's a lot of people. I don't think there's a lot of people that get in that always talk to me, and I'm sure they message you too, same type of people. And man, how do I get a collection like that? Or I can't wait to have a collection this big. And it's fun, but there's a lot of people too. I think start from 0. They'll buy 1 retic, or they go 1 retic to 15 to 30. That's a lot to go. I mean, how many guys have you seen come into this hobby, spend a ton of money, buy a ton of retics, and then they're out in a year? Because it's
same thing I did on a smaller scale. Really, it's you just get overwhelmed, and it takes all the joy out of it. It takes away from your success too, because you're trying to focus on just giving the proper care to animals, and you're not able to go above and beyond and actually get eggs in the incubator.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you don't focus on the core group that you really need to, and you're just doing so much other stuff, you're not ever going to get the clutches you want to make.
Right.
You'll have successes here and there just because of the sheer number of animals, but it's way better to have a smaller collection that you can take care of. No doubt about it.
I mean, I've noticed that even here in my collection. Like, I have quite a few of bigger animals, nothing crazy, but enough to where it's like, it's hard to focus. Not that I would want 12 adult females will give me eggs, but I mean, just the amount of time it would take to get them all to go, and there'd be no way to focus. There's just so much. Like, I would 4 or 5 females, 3, 4, 5 females, somewhere in there, to me is like, for me, perfect, ideal.
A couple years ago, I went ahead and pushed it kind of hard, and I made 11 clutches in a season. Damn. And doing everything by myself. And it was a great year, and I was like, man, this is amazing. I tried for 12 clutches. I missed on the pecan. I got every other clutch I tried to hit. Like, literally every other single clutch I tried, I got, and it was the best year I've ever had. And then all of a sudden, you've got 600 babies that you have to take care of. And I had a terrible year the next year.
Yeah.
Because I was taking care of 600.
So much work on the babies.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. I tell people that's where I feel like I get the most headaches is the babies. Like, I love looking at them, but the babies are the worst. Because I do paper. I'm sure if I've thought about going to like ARS or Freedom Breeder with the deli cups and the substrate, make it a little easier on my life where I can spot clean, but I know I don't like that. So it's constant water bowl flips, it's crumpled up paper, it's just a nightmare. It's
with the animals I've got. Somebody actually asked me today, so I did a rough count. Within probably 10 animals or so, I've got around 120 snakes right now.
That's babies and adults and everything?
Babies and all the clutches, the clutches that I've hatched, the adults. Well, not counting what's in the incubator right now.
Okay.
But just hatched animals, like animals that I'm having to take care of, clean water bowls, feed, that kind of stuff. And so of those animals, it only takes me about 45 minutes to feed all my adults. You know what I mean? And then it takes me 6 or 7 hours to go through and feed the baby rat.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that, man. It's like,
but you feed all frozen thawed for your babies, right? I know that was the thing.
I refuse
to use
live. I don't use live for anything.
Now, what's your reasoning behind that? I'm just curious, like, why you just don't like feeding, or is it hard to get live feeders by you? Or
I don't like taking care of live feeders.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I have no moral qualms with feeding live hoppers and that kind of stuff to baby snakes. Like, that's the food cycle. It is what it is. I do have a problem with feeding like rabbits, like live. To ocelots. You know what I mean? I'm not going to risk a nasty bite to an ocelot.
Yeah.
With a live feeder.
A $3 rabbit to a $25,000 snake. It's like, why even?
Just, after you feed 10 or 15,000 feeders over the years to animals, it's like, I don't need to see any more rabbits get choked. You know what I mean? It's just. I'm over that. I'm well past that enjoyment of the hobby.
Absolutely. It's cool. I mean, it's cool to see them eat. I mean, that's part of the reason I think we get into snakes. I mean, it's seeing them kill and take down a big animal is pretty awesome. But
it's amazing. It really is.
You've seen it a few times. It's like, okay, you know what they do. You know how it works.
But if they leave frozen thawed,
right.
I've found that 99.99% of snakes will take frozen thawed. You just got to figure out how to address it and get them to take it. Yeah,
that's crazy, man. The frozen thawed thing, like I would love it. I'm sure I could do it. Luckily I found a guy that's literally on my way home from work that does live, and I'll just swing by and, hey, I need 75 pups. Charge me $1.25 a pup. Pick them up, come home, can just throw them all in, and I don't have to check on them that night. And usually they're all gone by the time I go to bed, which makes my life a little easier.
Another side aspect of it too is I really like, most people that buy animals from me know that I cannot stand selling fresh hatchlings. I really like selling really well started animals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I just don't want to hear about, hey, this thing won't eat for me. You know what I mean? It's like I want to know that thing's going to snatch a frozen thawed feeder off top when somebody tries to give it to him.
Yeah.
And you have enough people send you an email or a text and say, "Hey, this thing won't eat for me. What do you recommend I try?" It's like I don't even want to deal with that.
Yeah.
I'm happy to answer questions for people, but at the same time, it's like if you can completely write that out of your breeders, your repertoire, get rid of it. You know what I mean? Like, live just kind of contributes to that. It creates a pickier snake, in my opinion.
Now, do you think the feeding live? I mean, I've personally never noticed it, but do you believe that like feeding a live feeder makes a more aggressive animal? Because I know there's breeders that feed primarily live stuff all the time. And I've always wondered, because I've never been one. I feed the babies sometimes live, or mostly get them started on live. Then I switch over as quick as possible. But always wondered like what other people thought on that, if that's the case.
I don't know, man. I just think snake genetics have more to deal with that than anything.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think the retics are smart enough to know food source.
Right.
And it's like the whole tap training thing. I think once they get to a point to where they understand tap training, they understand that it's not time to feed. It doesn't matter if you feed them live or frozen thawed or anything. It's an interesting thought. I won't say it's not possible, but I
always wondered, because I've seen things on other forums with other snakes, and I've seen people mention it about the retics too. And it's if you feed them live all the time, they're going to be more aggressive. And
I might consider that with a different species, maybe a different species that I don't know as well. I could see it for sure, but with retics, I don't really believe it. I think they're intelligent enough to make the difference. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like they don't really see us as a food source. They see first movement and stuff as a food source. They're an apex predator in their environment. But once they get tapped on their nose and you finally break their feed response, then I just don't think there's any difference with what they're eating.
Yeah. It's crazy stuff, man. So let's talk about the ocelots, man. What's the story? So what's the actual story on the ocelot stuff? I mean, I've seen some posts on how it got started. I know. Well, I'll let you explain it. So how did that get over into the U.S.? Kind of what was the story on the whole ocelot? So since that's what you're like, that's the thing, man. That's the hot snake, and
so
you're the god of ocelots.
It is by far the best genie to hit retics since I've been keeping retics. Like I love, like I remember the shock and awe when I saw my first golden child in person, and all that kind of stuff. When I got my first sunfire, the first purple tiger, even, it's just like some of these base things that people look at today, and they wouldn't even want to keep one. But man, right. I remember when that was unattainable. You know what I mean? It hadn't even been made yet. So looking back at it, all these other morphs are amazing, but if you've seen an ocelot fired up in person, there's nothing else like it. It just does it for me, man. They're
pretty impressive snakes,
yeah,
for sure, man.
Crazy. The color palette is just insane on those things.
Do most of them go get that silver, or is there a range?
There's definitely a range. There is a range, but I've noticed that the het caramel stuff is when it fires up is just like the how clean the sides are and everything. It's just crazy. It don't even look real when they light up. They look like Carolina blue almost in the right lighting.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
So the wild caught male was found in central Java. I don't even remember exactly what year. Maybe I'm going to assume maybe 2012 or so. It was acquired by the Prestasi farm that Michael Cole is affiliated with over in Indonesia, and they bred it to one of their F1 orange glows that they produce. They made the first orange glows, and then imported as a caramel into the U.S. And but those first orange glows they've got that are het white, they bred that male to. So they made offspring that were 100% het for the ocelot rainbow at the time, is what Michael Cole named it, and either het for caramel or het for white, because the mother was an orange glow.
Right.
They also bred it to a pure Coyote female, Coyote's super dwarf. None of those made it over to the States, unfortunately.
I was just going to ask. I don't remember any of those coming over.
Yeah. So what happened was a lot of the bigger breeders that looked at the picture of the original wild caught male, didn't really believe that it was a pure retic. They thought it was a hoax or a hybrid of some kind that they were trying to pass off as a much more valuable animal, and they just thought the whole thing was a scheme for the people overseas to make a lot of money on something that wasn't even a real project.
And that picture that I'm pretty sure is the one. There's like one or two I think that float around, but there's that one real well-known one where it's like the green or the trees behind it, and it's kind of and it's super grain. It looks super grainy, and it just doesn't look right, and it just it's
right. It looks photoshopped. You know what I mean? And you look at the animal's head. It doesn't even look like a pure retic. But I saw some other pictures of it, and I was like, man, that's real. I have to have my hands on that project. So Michael Cole originally, I believe it was 6 pairs of those double heads came into the country. And like I was saying, they weren't received very well, man. They were only priced at $3,500 a pair, which is astounding. I mean, that's nothing. They were dirt cheap, and maybe they priced them too low. You know what I mean? Like on the wholesale list when they came into the country, maybe they were priced too low, and that kind of added to the fire that maybe people thought they weren't a legitimate thing. And so I was able to trade for a pair with some stuff that I hatched out with Mike Cole, because he used to export a bunch of retics back then too, back over to Indonesia and such. And I was able to get a pair. Jeff Wilson was able to get a pair, and Eric Keister was able to get a pair, and he got his directly from Michael Cole. Jeff and I ordered ours at the same time, so we both got a pair at the same time, and that left a couple of pairs sitting there with Mike, and they were for sale for a long time, and nobody bought them.
I remember seeing them. And I thinking back, like, man, fuck, should have spent the money, got a pair of them.
So I ended up working out with Mike, and I got those other pairs, and I was gonna try and sell some of them, and I had them for sale for a good while, for not much more than the $3,500.
Yeah.
And just trying to move them, and basically trying to just recoup some of the money, I had invested in mine with stuff that I didn't sell, or whatever. So later on, I eventually bought them. I took control of those and ownership of those animals, and man, lightning struck. So Eric Keister bred his. He got white animals, and he made the first and only double rainbow animal, which is the white one that Samson has now.
But he wasn't the first one to make them, though.
No. Prehistoric Pets hatched them first.
Jay made them first, but didn't he miss the first? Didn't he try the first year and miss on them or something like that? Or he tried 1 year, and I actually had several pairs, and I knew Tim was breeding them. So back then, Jay and I were on pretty good terms. Mm-hmm. We've done a ton of business in the past, and I sent a pair back out there to Prehistoric Pets to work with, to kind of level my odds a little bit. I was like, if I miss on mine, I'm pretty confident they'll get them bred. Right.
They missed the first year. I don't even remember the full details. The female that I had out there hadn't bred yet, and I ended up getting them back when the ban came through. I just contacted Jay, and I was like, "Look, man, I'm all for the breeding loan situation, but
I'd be stuck not having them.
I can't let them get stuck out there. You know what I mean?"
Yeah.
I was like, I plan to pursue breeding retics, even though they're doing the no interstate transport, that kind of stuff, and I don't want my animals landlocked out there.
Right.
He was a little upset about it, but I mean,
what can you do?
We had some words about it, and we came to an agreement, and he sent them back to me. But yeah, so I ended up long term with 3 pairs. Samson bought the pair from Eric Keister and the offspring, because Eric was getting out of retics. I think he just fell out of love with retic stuff.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, he got his hands on the best project out, but your heart is where your heart is.
Yeah, I mean, you can't fight that.
Yeah, I think part of it too is he was planning on, moving out of the country, or something.
That's what I thought. I heard that he was trying to leave.
I don't think he wanted to landlock him out of the States either. I think he knew it was better for him to be here in the States.
Yeah.
As far as breeding goes, Jeff Wilson traded his pair to Prehistoric Pets. He got cold feet before they got produced. That's how Jay got his first pair.
Yeah.
He traded for a whole bunch of titanium stuff, and I told him I was like, Jeff, don't do it. But he literally didn't think it was going to prove out either after he had them for a while, because the heads are cool, but they're not crazy.
Yeah, they're subtle, very subtle looking, little different.
There's very, very, very kind of predictable markers, I feel like, now that I've seen, now that I've hatched out, 6 clutches of heads and a couple of clutches with pos heads and stuff. So I feel like I can pick them out really well now.
Yeah.
Maybe as well as Tim O'Reilly, I hope.
Well, you guys made more. You've made more, right? Than counting the heads, more than Jay and more than.
I've made more 100% heads for sure.
Yeah. So
as far as I know, I'm the first one to breed a visual male rainbow since the wild caught male.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
That's one thing I am pretty good at, is getting a male up to size fast and
that's awesome.
Putting him
and then when did you hatch your first visuals?
So mine hatched in 2019. Trying to remember the month.
I remember when you hatched them. I don't remember what month. I don't remember the month. I remember you sending me the pictures.
It was a spring clutch, I believe. Yeah. So they've got.
Wasn't it right after Tinley? Wasn't it right after a Tinley or somewhat around a Tinley?
I think it was like right at Tinley. That's what I was saying, man. I was talking to you earlier about.
Because I think you were saying you weren't sure if you were going to come, right? Wasn't that part of the thing? You weren't sure if you were going to come because that clutch was due.
Every major show I have ever set myself up to go to, I end up with a clutch hatching that weekend or a clutch being laid, and it's always like you can ask Brittany. It's always a shit show with me.
Yeah.
Stressing out over what's going on with
heading out of town, animals in the incubator. What are we doing with the baby?
Right. Yeah.
Somebody's gonna lay eggs.
But so I was scheduled to go to that Tinley, not to set up, but I was going to go just to go, and of course the eggs got laid. I did the math, and I was like, nope.
Yeah, that you got to stay home for. That's a clutch you definitely don't want to skip out on, because you didn't even know couldn't there have possibly been caramels or albinos
they were 100% double heads. I didn't know if they were going to be caramel or white or orange glows in the clutch at all.
Yeah.
We were still trying to pinpoint what everything was at that point. Now,
right.
I know what all my heads are now. Now that everything's gone through, and that's the big thing that kind of sets me apart with the whole project and gives me kind of an edge, I guess. Obviously, Prehistoric Pets is doing their thing. They've already put in combos on the ground and that kind of stuff.
That tiger is impressive, man.
It was, but that wasn't really my initial goal, though.
No, I know.
Like you've known me well enough along the years. It's like my goal was to make a caramel ocelot.
I still think that's going to be the combo. I don't even know. I don't even know what you can go past that. Like what's going. I guess we say that every time something really killer gets made. Like what's going to make this better? What can beat that? But deep down, that's one of those snakes I truly don't know. Can you beat that snake? Like, will a caramel, just a caramel ocelot?
Deep down inside, that's what I want to hang my hat on, man. As like my breeding career goes, it's like I really want to make the first caramel ocelot. And there's a giant mountain to climb to get there still, but it's
you're not far off now, right? I mean,
we'll see. You never know.
Cross some fingers for you. I mean, that's going to be. Because those are due when? October, right? Tinley? Right around Tinley?
A couple days before Halloween.
Oh, so after Tinley. Good.
I think just after Tinley, yeah.
Man. But that's going to be...
Doesn't matter how many days you have.
Yeah. Oh, I know. But I think this is the clutch to do it if it's going to happen.
What's crazy is Kevin almost was, possibly could have beat me to it with some of my animals that I've got up there. I think everybody's pretty familiar with Nerd having some of my animals they're working with up there, and they produced visual ocelots a couple of times. He actually made the first male for me. He beat me to him with that stuff.
Yeah.
So He had a visual male that was pos het for 66% pos het for caramel or white. We didn't know which. It could have been either or neither. And he bred it to one of the original import females that came from Prestasi and made orange glows and not one single visual. 40 eggs.
That's unbelievable, man.
So
that is like a kick in the balls.
From a visual to a double,
right?
Nonetheless, you know what I mean? Like crazy. There was I did double head to double head and made 11 in my first clutch.
Wow.
So, yeah, you know what I mean? Out of
how many? I was gonna say, how many eggs were that?
33 eggs. But what's crazy about the whole project in general is everybody's like, man, the future is double and triple recessive, and there's no arguing that, man, because if you look at the history of this ocelot project, the Rainbow Project,
yeah,
there's I can add up pretty well in my head. There's been over 500 eggs produced worldwide between all the people that have their hands in the project, between Bungie over in Indo, Prehistoric Pets, Samson had a big clutch, Eric Keister before him with that pair. There's been 500 eggs made that had the potential to make double visual ocelots, and there's only one white.
Just the white face, yeah.
Yep. Kevin made an orange glow in his first clutch that he made with my hets, but it was dead in the egg. It didn't make it. So, I mean, but you're looking at 500 eggs chances.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty extreme. Like 500.
Look how long it took to make an albino anthrax.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Was it like 18 years?
Yeah, something like that. But then you got it's all luck. I mean, a lot of it, like you said, it's luck though. I mean, you got the guys like Travis who made a triple recessive in one breeding, like
100%.
101 at like 126 odds, and you hit two of them. You know?
He can literally make that breeding 10 more times and not hit that animal again, for sure.
It's unreal. That's what I love. Like that's where I'm at in my personal collection. There's a lot of stuff we talked before. Like I'm gonna start phasing some stuff out, I think, and just one, I want to do a little more monitor stuff, I think now. But two, I think I do want to try to focus on my double head or double recessive, triple recessive stuff. I think is really that's the future. I mean, that's the way to do it. It's the only way to protect what you're doing. Right.
It's so hard to do it. It's I mean, even if somebody else makes it, they may not make it again.
Right.
You know, it's going to take them a long time to make it again. You just have to work and cut your odds down. That's what I did. I made a couple of male ocelots that were pos het caramel. I tried breeding and missed. I missed twice on proving one out to be a het caramel, and then I finally struck gold with one. So my last chance at a visual male to prove het caramel proved. And then it's a wrap from there. Hopefully, as long as things go well.
This is it, man. I got my thoughts on it. I think you're going to do very well with that clutch. So
I think it's there. I think it's there this time. I have
a few of them. This is it. This is going to be like the culmination of that whole project for you. So
for sure.
At least I'm hoping. I'd love to see you do it before anybody else does. You deserve it before anybody else does it. So
I've got all the tools waiting to make other morph combo stuff. I've got phantom het males that are ready. I've got Sunfire double het OGS.
Well, that's gonna be my next thing. Is what after I know that's like what you're focusing on is the caramel. What's your route after that? What are you trying to do? OGS? I think OGS would be
not to be ridiculous about it, but I'm dead set on making orange glows too. A small part of me wonders if an orange glow is actually going to look better than the caramel.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. I think they're both going to have their place for sure.
After that, my biggest goal is the OGS with or without Sunfire. I think it's going to be a phenomenal animal. That's where I put all my breeding efforts into. The Phantom's cool, but that was more of that was just a byproduct, basically. You know, I had the sun cow female that I bred the male to because I really wanted to make the double head OGS stuff.
Now, what is your thought on? Do you think cow ocelot's going to look any weird, different? You think that's going to? It's such an extreme looking animal. I don't know. I'll
certainly try and make it just out of curiosity, I think. But that wasn't my intention.
Right.
I just don't know. I know. I mean, and imagine a cow 100% head ocelot, or a cow ocelot breeder male to have, on hand.
It would be cool to see, like, if a cow were to get like spots, but they're those blue silvery spots. Can you imagine that? Like, just like
literally the color palette, man. Like GC is about as extreme of a color variant as I can compare to the ocelot. Mm-hmm. It's possible. I mean, look how the GC cow is very noticeable, compared to other cows. It's the only thing that really stands out 100%.
Well, even like the anthrax cow, minus the black eyes, granted there hasn't been a ton made, but that's really the only sign.
The only real cow.
Yeah, like black eyes.
The Moschino that I made, the eye was the only thing you could tell with. And with the ocelot, I don't think that would be a tell in a cow, to be honest. So I don't know if you'd even be able to distinguish what they are. But you never know.
Yeah, that's true. The OGS is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be a wonderful combo. I think. I really do. I got a strong feeling about that one.
Yeah, because you have now your hets. Because you have OGS or double het ocelot OGS that are a year old now or so, right?
A little over 11 months, right out of you. Yeah.
So
I'm not counting days or anything.
You're getting there. I mean, year by year. So. Yeah. What outside of the ocelot stuff? What do you think is your next favorite project? I know you're really focused on the ocelot stuff, but is there anything else? Are you still really trying with the pecan stuff? I know you kind of.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try and get her to cycle this year. She's due. The snake's been a handful, man. She's been a curiosity along the way.
You bred her twice so far, right? But she just.
So yeah, I'm sure you've seen it. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, young females, right around that 3.5 year mark, will go through a period where they fall cycle, and I've seen it dozens of times where they go through, they go off food, they look like they start to swell up a little bit, not quite the same, but as a fully mature female,
right?
You'll put the males in there, and the males will be interested because they are hormonal, but they never go receptive and actually let the male lock up. And males will try for a little while because there's hormones, but then they give up, and then they'll just go lay in the corner, and they like an older female, the male, you won't leave her alone.
He's on her nonstop.
He sleeps with her. If she crawls the other side of the cage, he follows her. That kind of stuff. So with the younger females, a lot of times they'll do that false cycle and then go back on food a couple of months later and never go through it. But I've noticed if you continue the normal feeding cycle as if they bred, get them back on food, start them off slow, work them up towards that push right before it's breeding season again, they'll cycle almost exactly a year after that point.
Oh, really?
Yep. And then you usually get a pretty good clutch out of it. Right around the 4-year mark, you know what I mean? Yeah. Which is a more natural breeding age, I think, than most people shoot for around 3. Everybody thinks you can breed a Retic at 3, and that's not really the case.
I've never had luck. I've never even had. I've had, I think, one female locked up just under 4, under 4, and
I think it's genetics more than anything. I think there are breeder regimens that you can try and work them. You can give them the best chance to cycle at that age, but it's not common. It really isn't. Yeah. If you have hundreds of animals, there's going to be a small percentage that actually breed around 3 years old.
I think Shane's got the youngest that I've heard of, right? Didn't he have a female go at locking up at 2.5 or 3, and if she laid a clutch under 4 years old or something crazy like that?
Yeah,
something weird.
The sun cow that I bred to the ocelot, she was 37 months old.
When she laid or when she bred?
When she laid.
Really?
And her sister that I sold to Thomas Williams laid like a month and a half or maybe 2 months earlier.
Holy cow.
So sisters, and he fed her up. She's a big girl.
Yeah.
She laid 20 more eggs than mine.
Holy shit.
So that just goes to show you it's not really a food regimen. You know what I mean? It's like he fed her. She's 3 or 4 feet longer than mine, probably, and a good bit heavier. And, she's a stout animal.
Yeah.
They laid 20-something more eggs than mine, but they both bred within a month and a half of each other early. So I think it's more genetic than it actually is.
How big is that pecan? She's got to be good size now, right? I mean, she's got to be
Every bit of 16, 17 foot.
really.
Yeah, she's funny. She'll eat pigs one day and then run from them the next day and want a rabbit, and then she'll want a rabbit, and then she'll want a rabbit but won't eat a second small rabbit. She wants a rabbit and then a guinea pig.
Don't you dare let her get a guinea pig.
If you let her see a guinea pig, she won't eat anything but a guinea pig for the next 4 months.
Really? That would suck, man. That would be so terrible.
She's been a pain in the ass. So I bred her, and I don't know if it was actually a fall cycle like I was talking about, because she was between 3 and 3.5 years old. Like, she went through all the signs. I thought it was going to happen. And I ran a young cow that I had produced to her, and he was barely like 10 months old or so at the time. And it was a risk, but I was like, man, I was going for it, swinging for the fences. And they locked up quite a few times. She went off food, she did her thing, and then nothing ever happened. She just went back on food. And so that's what I mean. It was like basically a fall cycle. Everything was indicative that she was going to breed and ovulate and do her thing. I was like daily staring at the cage, like, so she looked like she was going to ovulate.
Just waiting.
Yep, the body mass just kind of disappeared. She went back to looking normal and started hammering food.
Damn.
And so the next year, I bred one of the double het male ocelot imports to her. And I didn't have a ocelot visual that was old enough. I knew he was too young. He was only like 7.5 months old. Shane would have done it and probably been successful.
Yeah.
But I went with the double het, and I was like, you know what? I feel like I can pick the heads up, and it's worth it to me. I don't care if I sell any or not. I'll hold what I want to hold on to, and I wasn't really concerned with sales, so I didn't mind them being possets. And she slugged, of course, which really made no sense. The male was prime age, in great shape. And she laid a big old pile of slugs. Heartbreaking.
Fuck, man. God, that would be terrible.
So I gave her a full season off after that. She probably would have cycled again, but I gave her a full season off. I didn't want to breed her again that year. And then this year is the year. I'm really trying hard this year.
And you're planning on top secret, or are you still going to plan to do a ocelot? Or
no, I'm gonna breed the het caramel ocelot to her.
There you go.
That's what I'm doing now, man. I'm down to where I've only got one other breeder male in my collection, and he's young, and it's that purple sun tiger Anthrax male.
Nice.
And I think he's breedable now, but.
So what's your thought on the pecan stuff? I know, overseas those guys they're seem to be cranking out some morphs now. I've seen like the Motleys and the whatever the weird, wasn't there like some weird OGS thing they made? And
I don't want to sound negative, or people think, oh, he's bitter because he didn't do it or whatever. But I was not impressed with the cow breeding to the pecan.
Yeah,
I love that it proved compatible. I was onto that one. I felt like it was compatible. I've been saying it for years.
I was gonna say, I remember me and you talking back, and you were, that's what one of the first things you said is,
she was still a young animal. I was looking at it. I was like, she's a perfect mix between a really nice looking hogs and a phantom.
Yeah, I mean, you could totally see it in that snake, so it's not that much of a surprise, really.
You look at the super, and it's just like, man, I can see it. It just made sense they were going to be compatible. I don't think it was really a surprise to anybody that it proved out.
Right.
So after seeing it, though, it's like I don't even know what they call them. I haven't even paid that much attention to it. The OGS.
Yeah.
Pecan stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what they call it, but it's weird. It's interesting looking. It
looks like an interesting platy OGS.
Yeah.
It's cool, but it's nothing that's like groundbreaking that I wish I had been the first to make or anything.
Right.
Like that.
I mean, I think it's good to know now that we see that, like, kind of like, man, maybe don't go that route. I think there's way cooler. Obviously, ocelot, I think, would be the best.
It's funny, if you track my breeding career, I've had way more world seconds than I do world firsts. And I've always been, no matter what I do, Tim O'Reilly beats me to everything.
He's the man. Tim is the man.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? If you're second place to Tim O'Reilly, man, wear it like
there's worse places to be, that's for sure. So
be proud, right? So It's just one of those things. With the pecan, though, I think not so much the pecan ocelot or the pecan pet ocelot stuff that I'm after, but it's the next tier. It's like I think the super pecan ocelot is going to be a really spectacular animal.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
With or without caramel. Caramel may even take away from it when you start adding more than 1 or 2 genes to it. It may or may not be a bonus. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd love to find out, but that's my goal, is to get towards the super pecan ocelot visual.
We need some of that pecan stuff. I mean, it is cool. Like it was the baddest stuff until like ocelot stuff started getting. I mean, I remember everybody was going nuts over the pecan, and then once ocelot came, it's like, well, it's cool. It is cool, but yeah, it's a pattern.
My whole thing so far is with the pecan project is all the pictures I've seen. I don't like anything more than just a straight super
pecan, right?
So just a straight super pecan with nothing else to it. The platinums and the motley stuff they added to it overseas was pretty cool, but I still think I like the original super pecan better. Like when I saw that, when Mike sent me that first picture and said, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Yeah, I was like, man, I have to have that animal. I almost had him, by the way. So Mike sent me that first picture, and I was the one that unveiled it publicly to the world when Mike asked me if I would go ahead and do that on big forums and let everybody know about the project. So he sent me that picture, told me about it. They had that super male and the sister that I got, and those were the only 2 animals in the clutch. They only had 3 eggs making in the clutch: a normal, the female that I got, and the super pecan male.
Super, yeah.
And I was like, man, I have to have that. Like, what can I do? And I offered him a considerable amount of money and half of every clutch I produced with him.
Damn.
Because Mike was, capable of exporting all the animals, and we had done a lot of business, and he was like, man, that's a very fair offer. They sent it across, and they were like, they're just not quite ready to pull the trigger yet. They want to keep him. And I was like, man, I get it, but I can't really offer more than that. You know what I mean? It's like that's a hell of an offer. Yeah. Really. If that snake produced 10 clutches, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars of animals, and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So it just didn't quite work out. And then all of a sudden the ban talk came around, and we realized we were going to lose importation. And then they hit me up and they're like, they'll let him go. They'll sell him.
I'm sure. Yeah. Because this is it.
I was like, all right, let's do it. Set it up. And nope. Could not get the paperwork lined up in time.
Damn.
Yep.
I remember you telling me that, right?
He would have gotten here the day after the ban went into effect. Is where he would have came into Miami, and there was no way to do it legally. So
damn, dude.
He got landlocked out of the States.
It's crazy.
So I mean, not the worst thing. She'll ever breed, having an adult. You
got her, get one fertile clutch out of her. Yeah. I mean, really, that's all.
So she's there, and she is a typical October breeder. So everybody cross their fingers. Like every sign she's ever showed wanting to breed, so she starts ramping food up right now and doing her thing. And, going off food right around October. So
October's going to be a busy month for you, man.
Hopefully. Yeah, that'll be the one.
So here, Matt Edmonds has a question he wants to ask you. So he wants your opinion on the Aztec stuff. What you think about that?
I initially thought it was a weird motley. There's been like 40-something motleys now that have showed up all over the world.
Right.
I thought it was just a really aberrant kind of looking motley. I wasn't that impressed until I saw the purple. I hate to be a pure morph chaser, but that purple Aztec is mind blowing. That's one of the prettiest snakes I've ever seen in my life.
It's unbelievable. I mean that, and I'm a big fan of the Motley Tiger. I just saw the Motley Tiger Aztec, which looks man.
The other combos that they've made with it are cool. I respect it. I love seeing it.
The purple is the best by far. I agree with you.
It, but if I had it, I wouldn't shoot for anything but different types of albino. I think it to ghost would be outrageous. I think
orange glow,
any kind of orange glow, blonde. I think any of the color changers would be the way to go with that one. I mean, it's cool. It's very cool, and I can't wait to see it mixed with ocelot. I know that's in those guys' agenda.
Yeah.
Um,
I was the same as you, man. I kind of was like, it's cool. It's weird looking, but I didn't think it was anything crazy until I started seeing some of the combos. But
if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure Jacob's going to go after mixing the ocelot to it.
really,
So, yeah,
he should. I think that could be really cool.
I mean, those head stamps. I don't know. They're gonna battle.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which
Then you
one?
got another one. Ray Flex Reptiles asks, "What do you think? What do you think about the tribals?" Since we're on that kind of.
I really like the tribals. I do. I think they're a special thing. I do think it's just another line of Motley, but it's a pure Philippine animal.
Absolutely.
Pure Philippine blood, man. It's irreplaceable.
Yeah.
By far one of my favorite localities. Soleil's got my heart because it was the first Retic I ever bred. But the Philippine stuff is special, and I'm actually on ovulation watch right now with the big tribal female bred to the ocelot het caramel male.
Damn.
She's loaded with follicles.
Holy cow.
All food, completely placid. You can reach right in and touch her, and she's the kind of animal that you can feed her, 30 pounds of food, and she's gonna still try and kill you for another meal.
Really?
Yeah. So being able to, if you reach in and touch that animal and she doesn't try and kill you, then you know that it's there's
good to go.
Hormonal activity going on.
Yeah.
So I love
it's
that.
gonna be 50% Philippine stuff, Soleil or ocelot, dude.
So depending on how they look, my plan with that one is I don't think anybody can catch me on that one, or anybody has the desire to. So my plan with that one is I want to make the tribal 100% hets, and assuming that they have a unique enough look to them, only being 50%, I feel like if I were to breed one of those males back to a pure Philippine female, I can go ahead and jump straight to the 75%ers to breed and pick out the hets. I feel like I'm confident enough to pick the hets out. I don't think I would sell any of those. I would release some of the 50%ers, but I wouldn't keep all the 75%ers for myself and hold those back. But that's my goal. I want to get as high Philippine blood as possible. That's part of like everybody else with the project is kind of forced. They're not fortunate enough to have the numbers that I do. So they kind of have to just chase those gene combos. You know what I mean? They're going to go straight visuals or chase new combos, which is what most people are initially. That's the goal for most breeders. So I want to take a different route and start trying to fine tune the look of actual ocelots.
Right.
You know what I mean, that's my goal. I've got a Soleil that I think is gravid right now, and I kind of want to do the same thing with that. I want to.
And that's gravid from the ocelot.
From not the het caramel, the other.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The male that I had in Arlington.
Oh, okay.
I used him to her. But that's kind of my goal is not just morph chasing. Is I really want to try and make locality influence as well too. I'd love to get into some super dwarf stuff, but it's tough because my females aren't ready yet, and everybody wants female super dwarfs to lay the eggs.
Right.
Which I don't fully buy into, but I'm not really a super dwarf guy, so I'm not one to argue it, I guess. But if I can put some 50% on the ground, I don't think people are really going to care which side.
Right. Wasn't it the thought is the female is where they get the size from or something like that?
That's what everybody's saying. Yeah, that's what everybody would use. I've seen enough clutches to where even in a take a 50% clutch, right? If you make a 50% super dwarf clutch either way, and you raise them all up, they're not all going to be uniform. Mm-hmm. Some of them are going to lean more heavily towards super dwarf. Some are going to lean more heavily towards mainland. And like you're going to get some animals that are 12 or 13 foot, and some are going to top out at 8 or 9 foot, as adult breeder females. And I have a hard time accepting that just because you used a female, it's going to be completely size determinant. So I don't know.
I mean, I feel the same way because I don't see how. I mean, it'd be the same as why wouldn't it work the male way? I don't know. you're gonna get both. I mean, you look at like you have a 7-foot person, they're gonna have some big kids. They could have some small kids. It's I don't know.
It's just how genetics fall, man. Some kids, even though they're 50-50, some are gonna look more like mom, some are gonna look more like dad, and that's just how genetics work.
It's what'd she say?
It's not how people genetics work. There's actually a chromosome that gets passed.
And if you have several kids, some are going to look more like mother,
right.
and some are going to look more like father.
With humans, what happens is the woman's set of DNA that gets copied prevents the baby from being bigger than she can handle or pass. Obviously, sometimes people have babies that are too big. There's tiny women.
Y'all see what I got to deal with?
But just saying.
Y'all hearing that?
It's not a documentary.
Oh, she saw it on Facebook.
It must be true, but I don't know.
I honestly don't know. I just
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just not a super dwarf guy. I like them. I think they're cool. I want to work some stuff into it. I think inevitably we need to shrink the size of some of these animals. I like the snakes. We need to have lines of them that stay big. But as far as it goes, if you're going to have 120 of them, it's nice to have some that are comfortable in a 6-foot cage.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I mean, Garrett's always telling me I need to get into the super dwarf. I'm the same way. I got retics because I like big snakes. I didn't get retics so I can have a 7-foot retic. But that's kind of, like you said, it's kind of where we need to go. I at least would love to have one, maybe 2 pure female, just to throw some little projects at here and there and stuff I really like. And
my favorite breeder females are in that 12 to 13 foot range, man. They lay right around 30 eggs, which is plenty.
Yep.
You really don't need, unless you're trying for the first caramel ocelot, you don't need
75 eggs. You need
50 or 75 eggs in a clutch. It's like 30 plenty, and depending on the breeding, sometimes 15 eggs is better.
Yeah.
You've got a couple of holdbacks, plenty to sell, and the market's not completely saturated. It's some of these females that lay 60-something eggs. It's like, man, I don't even want that many.
My blonde tiger's like that. Like, I honestly really, I got one more breeding I really, really, really want to do with her, and then I may not breed her anymore.
Blonde's notorious for that, aren't they?
They're just big
for laying a lot of eggs.
Yeah, and she's big. I mean, she's not massive. I mean, she's big, but she's not like 20 foot big. But she's.
How old was she when she
first laid?
Yeah, first laid.
I'd have to look through my records. She was old. I mean, she was between 5 and 6, maybe 6.
I think that's pretty typical.
That's what I was told from Jay too. That they take a little longer to get up.
We had some of the first blonde hets. They might have been the first ones ever sold. We bought a group of those, some tiger hets, and those things just kept growing and kept growing and never even pretended to want to cycle. And they were every bit of like 18 or 19 feet before they even kind of wanted to move it.
Yeah. Well, that was when I went out to Jay's one of the first times. This was before I might have already had my blonde tiger, and I saw the parents. The big hat. He had some huge hats. It was a big normal. I mean, she was huge, 20, 21 foot. I mean, monstrous, humongous. And that's what Jay wasn't even there. It was Garrett, and Garrett was telling me, he's like, "Yeah, all the blonde stuff we have is just giant. It's just big lineage. I think because isn't it all Malaysian stuff? I believe, something like that. I think or."
Man, those were the good old days of prehistoric pets, man.
I know.
And, I had a really good time out there the first couple of times I went out there.
I wouldn't mind making another trip out there at some point. I haven't really talked to Jay as much as I used to, and I don't know. I would like to go out there and see Tim, and talk with Tim and just kind of see what kind of stuff they got going, because I know they've done a lot of expansion and kind of, did a lot of stuff, but it's, I don't know, it's hard to get out there.
Yeah, I remember when the tables all turned, Jay told me, he was like, man, we're having parents by the dozens that are literally just driving up here and dropping their kids off. And they're coming in and hanging out in the store all day. No intentions of buying anything.
Is this when he started getting really internet
this was
famous?
Exactly, right around that same time when he first started really trying to promote online and that kind of stuff.
He's doing it. I get people that are non-snake friends from my family members that have no desire. Hey, look at this guy, crazy guy with snakes, and but
people People send me clips all
I
the
slept.
time.
I'm like, I slept on his couch and I went to church with him when I went out to California. Yeah, I
Did
know.
you go to church with him?
Yeah. When me and Shane and Travis went and woke us up Sunday morning. This was we were drinking in the shop the night before, like till midnight or 1. Like just me, Garrett, Shane, Travis drinking beers and go home like a little buzz, nothing crazy, and wake up and it's 7 o'clock. Come on, we got to go to church. And it was not what I was expecting church. Like it was, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen his post from his church and stuff. It's like huge, like a congregation of like 5 or 10. It was like a concert.
Oh my god!
Giant church. They're playing like guitars. There's like 500-inch screen. It was the most unbelievable. It was the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen. We go in. He's got like big enclosures with his big water monitors in the church. Lauren Morale says that it's in the alley. We were drinking in the alley, but behind prehistoric pets. But yeah, I don't know what kind of church it was. It was not what I was expecting, to say the least.
Dude, my first trip out of prehistoric pets, I remember being mind blown. He had somebody out there with a soldering iron burning holes in tubs. You know, we went out there, and I was out there for like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
So I was at the shop for 12 hours a day for 4 days in a row. And he had an employee out there burning holes in tubs the entirety of the time.
Really?
That's how many fucking
10,000 tubs or something.
You know what I mean? It's just like, it blew my mind, the scale of like just how many animals that were in that facility.
Yeah, it is impressive, to say the least. The first time we went, I went with Shannon. She took us out there, or took me out there for like our 1-year anniversary. So we had like 2 hours there, which was cool. Of course, there was not nearly enough time, to see anything at all. And then we went out
to the pet store area with
right. When we went out with Shane, when me and Shane and Travis went, and like we're like behind all the rooms, and it was just like it's just alleyway into little alleyway, and just snakes everywhere. I could not believe just everything, just the amount of snakes and just all the high powered. I mean, it was like at this point, it was super tiger anthrax was like the hot thing, and there was 3 or 4 sitting in a rack right there. Every titanium combo you could think of. And
so I think the first time I actually went out there in person, I remember the first super tiger het albinos were hatching.
Oh, okay.
And
that's far back.
Way back when. And there was one that had no eyes. And I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, dude. I tried to buy that thing on the spot, and Jay laughed at me. I was like, "Come on, man!" And
what are you gonna do? What can you do with it?
Like, so seriously, and but he kept it. I'm pretty sure. I'm positive he bred it.
Wow, that's wild.
I think, man, I might be wrong. I don't want to bullshit, but I'm almost positive that he actually had a female that he bred it to see if it would produce a clutch of all snakes.
Eyeless snakes. Wow. I mean, I could see like at the time probably people thought about that. I mean,
you never know.
Scaleless and all that.
Yeah.
Have you ever been out to Bob's? I think I've asked you this before.
No, I've never been to Bob's place. I've never been real close with Bob.
No?
No. We've talked a little bit. He's always had a much better relationship with my brother.
Yeah. We should try to go out there one day. Fly out there for a weekend. I'd love to get back out there.
Sure.
His place out of the 3, man, would be. I mean, I love everybody's. They got their own things, but man, Bob's was probably, like for me and my like OCD, was probably the best. Just, I say it all the time. It was the most organized, like with everything matching and all the snakes in the certain areas, and it's surreal to see all those old Neodeshes, like the big 8-foot.
He is Bob Clark.
It was pretty wild, man. It was pretty freaking wild, to say the least. But I mean, nothing beats Kevin's. Kevin's will always be my favorite by far. Just
Kevin's just like I haven't seen Bob's, but I've been to Jay's plenty of times, and I've seen some pretty big private facilities. Hell, we had a huge private facility, but
yeah.
It's just Kevin's just the vastness of all the different species, and all the different stuff that you can see, like. Jay's got his display area and that kind of stuff where he's got different stuff on display. But like Kevin is hatching out different types of melanota, and he's hatching out this, and he's hatching out corn snakes, and he's hatching out the vastness of what he's actually successfully reproducing out there is mind blowing. It really is.
I just you get like caught, you just get lost really, like in Kevin's, because it's like, I mean, if you have any kind of relationship with Kevin, and it's like, hey, he'll grab you, hey, come here, check this out, and you go into this other room, and you'll be looking at monitors. Then you'll go to this other room, and he's got like the Boyegas and stuff, and he's got. It's just like, dude, there's just so much. And then you go downstairs, and or outside, he's got his goats and his alligator, and he's got. It's just, I don't know, it's unreal. You go to take a pee in the bathroom, and there's a stack of rattlesnakes behind you. But you're like, dude, what is going on?
Buzzing next to you.
Yeah, but it's just like you said, the amount of animals and just his knowledge. Like he'll get on a topic, and it's just you learn so much in such a small amount of time.
At a prehistoric pets, you walk around the shop with Jay, and Jay almost always is just too busy. You know what I mean? It's nothing personal. He's just busy. He's a busy.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So he'll send you around with somebody to show you everything, and they know the place pretty well. But then you'll end up spending time with Jay, and you'll be pulling tubs open, and he'll have to look at it and try and figure out what it is. You know? You do that shit with Kevin, and Kevin has a personal relationship with every fucking
everything. Yep.
He knows that animal. He knows how it eats. He knows what its problems are. It's like I don't know how he can possibly keep up with it.
Yeah, I mean Kevin's unique in that way because I'm pretty sure Bob would be that. Bob's kind of more the same as Jay. Like you got so many animals, and you're so busy with, I think, everything, day-to-day operations and stuff too, and just Kevin's a unique dude, man. He's a super unique dude, and he's just. Yeah, I don't know. I love talking to him and spending time with him anytime I can. It's I don't know.
That's kind of why I've kind of shouldered up to Kevin as much as I have, man. It's like there's so much that guy not only can teach you but wants to teach you.
Yeah, his
he
knowledge.
Really does want to teach you everything he knows about anything you want to listen to him. You know, if you'll sit there and listen, he'll teach you something. And that's just fun, man. It's like if you love reptiles, it's a irreplaceable experience to spend some time up there. Like that facility is wild. All the stuff that he's got.
I know I want to get up there again too. I know me and Andrew were talking about trying to go at some point. Definitely,
I'm going pretty soon. I'm going to go sometime in the next couple of weeks, I think.
Are you in the next couple of weeks? Fuck, I can't do that. But I definitely want to go soon, like within the next. Well, I gotta wait till I get some more vacation.
You gotta come find your next monitor.
Dude, I know. I'm freaking in love, man. It's so cool. Yeah. It's the coolest thing ever. I'll get more.
So what made you finally pull the trigger? I know you've been on it for a while.
You know, the problem is, my heart was so set. My heart was so set on a croc. Like, I'm like, I'm going to get a croc as my next monitor. And then I had some opportunities, but it never was like, I never had the space. I had the money, but not the space. Then I had the space. I moved stuff. I had space, but not the money. And then the prices skyrocketed. And now, I mean, $4 or $5 grand is a lot, but it's doable. $10,000 is a lot of money for a monitor. When I haven't had a monitor in 15 years, I don't want to spend I probably shouldn't. The more I thought about it, I'm like, man, do I really need to buy a croc? And I haven't really had monitor experience in 15 years, 20 years. Probably is not the smartest thing.
Dude,
they're
not experts, much less beginners.
Right, and that was my mindset was like, if I'm going to do it, I would need to start with a baby, spend the money. But I'm like, man, I don't want to spend $10,000 on a baby. So kind of was like, you know what? I told Shane, I'm like, dude, if you hatch him when he started actually looking like he was going to have babies, I'm like, if you make some, I'm going to get a baby from you because I want something that I can mess with and handle and play with. And, and I'd rather, he's one of my best friends. So of course I'm going to support him. If I'm going to buy a monitor, why wouldn't I? So yeah, and it lined up, and we talked, and a cage kind of popped up. I told him, like, I'm looking for a cage. If I can find a cage, I'll buy one. 2 days later, a cage pops up, and I'm like, dude, bought it. Local guy, my buddy Sean.
I didn't know you were getting a monitor from Shane. And as soon as you posted that picture, I was like, oh shit.
The cage, the picture of the cage.
The cage, I knew. Yeah.
So me and him were going back and forth, and I really wanted a coral, and he's like, I'll hook you up, and I'm like, do I want to spend that much off the bat? And I'm like, didn't really want to. I mean, snake sales have been good, but I still am trying to save to put an addition on my garage, so I'm trying not to spend tons and tons of money right now. So, maybe I'll just get a T positive.
You going wider with the garage?
I want to build off the back. So I have a 2-car garage, but it's a tight 2-car. Like you can fit 2 cars.
The same house you were when I came?
Yeah, when you came by, yeah. So I basically want to put just I think it's like 24 feet wide. So I want to basically do like a 24 by 24 or a 20 by something like that off the back of my house. Just I'd like to, or I'm going to take the money I'm saving to put an addition in, and maybe we'll buy a different house that's got a little more room. So that's why I'm trying not to spend $5,000, $7,000 on a lizard right now. So, but yeah, it was just one of those things that kind of all the pieces fell into place. We talked. He's like, dude, get this one I've been interacting, socializing with for so-and-so, and they're not coming through, so it's kind of ready to rock. And I'm like, well, if you come over, help me set it all up, set up the cage, do it the right way. I'm like, we'll do it. So he comes over, and I thought we were just going to set the cage up. He brings the lizard. I was not ready at all. Like, he's like, well, I'm coming. When I bring it, I'm like, I don't know. I thought we'd have to let the cage get settled and stuff. And yeah, next thing I know, I got the baby monitor here, and I can't get out of my snake room now. I just sit here and look at the thing all day.
Man, they're so addictive just interacting with them, man. You're gonna fall head over heels in love.
Oh, I already am. I haven't even had it 4 days, and I'm like,
do you know if it's a male or female, or have an idea?
I have no clue. I don't even know how to tell. I know isn't it like the bulges or something?
You ain't have any clue?
He didn't even tell me. It's shit on me like 3 times, so I don't know. It pissed on me, so.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe not 3 times, maybe 2 times, but.
That might just be stress of transport.
Yeah. It's definitely cool. I could, like I was telling you earlier, man, I can see how people get so like, just all about the lizards. Like I can see myself, I'm never going to get out of retics, but I could see myself slim. I mean, the plan was eventually I'm going to slim down somewhat.
Yeah.
But now I can definitely, it's kind of more like a kick in the ass. Like, hey, if you want to get a couple more of these, you definitely need to. So, and my wife is super into them, way more than the snake. So that's a huge plus, you know.
It's weird, man. They're literally just as dangerous in my opinion, you know, or can be, but they just don't have the perception that people put on snakes. It's just weird, man. People are just way more tolerant of a big lizard. Yeah. Even though it's a vicious predator.
Right. I just like the thought of coming into my room now and I see like a cage with branches and and substrate, and you know, me and Shane talked, and it's like going back to your roots. Like when I got into snakes, it was never like I'm going to breed snakes, mass produce retics, blah blah blah, keep them as bare bones as possible. It was have a couple retics, nice enclosures with branches and a big water bowl, and you know, I think we all go through that, and it just streamline. You kind of make it as easy of a process to keep them and clean them and all that, and produce babies. But
people think retics are addictive, and they really are. Just keeping them and interacting with them. Yeah. When you see that first clutch pip, and you see an animal that you in part helped create, and then raise it up, it's like there's just that's one of the most addictive.
Oh. 100%.
Like a chemical release in your brain, man. It's crazy.
I like the whole deal with me with the retics is I love the whole like, what are you gonna get? I think that's a big thing for everybody. It's the whole gamble, like, you know, it's that excitement. Like, am I gonna get lucky and make the first caramel ocelot out of 40 eggs or whatever? You know,
anybody that's followed my breeding career, not that it's that crazy. I haven't.
Oh, stop! It's pretty.
I haven't really produced that many animals though. You know
but it's all powerhouse shit, man.
But that's what I mean. That's the point. It's I never have been one to say, you know what, I'm gonna breed a bunch of purple tigers and just wholesale them and just make bank, because that's where you really do well if you line up sales with that kind of stuff. Yeah. For me, it's just not fun. I don't want to do that. It's like I want to cut an egg open and I want to know that that's going to be possibly the first time anybody's ever seen one of these before. You know? Like that to me is really fun. And
well, that's what I don't get is there's a lot of people that like hate on that, like the whole like, oh, you're chasing the morph, or it's your world, you're looking after the world's first, but it's like that's part of it though. That's kind of, if that wasn't, I mean, if that's not how this industry was, there would be. I mean, think if Bob didn't make the first albino berm, never would have looked for another morph to bring in to make, you know what I mean? It would never.
I agree. I'll meet you in the middle though. The difference between how I feel I run my breeding program and some people that do it is refinement and being selective over the animals that you actually breed. You know, I've sold 20 or so breeder females, proven breeder females in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't like doubling clutches. I don't like, and once I make something, I'm on to the next thing.
Yeah.
It's like you have to try and be ultra selective over which animals you want to breed.
Yeah.
Like once you have an animal and it was the best thing you could attain at the time visually and that kind of stuff, you have to be selective and choose the best holdbacks to raise up to replace them, to make it's like Shane is what, 6 generations deep with the Sunfire stuff, 7 generations. I don't know. It's astonishing what he's done with that one gene because he's focused on it and he's been laser focused on refining that gene, and that's what we've got to do. Like just chasing a combination purely for the combination is one thing until it's been made. Once it's been made, like saying, "Oh fuck it, I'm going to do this for the next 4 years and pump them out." It's like I won't do that.
Right. No, and I agree with you 100%.
We have to stop doing that. It's like once you have a few of them to choose from, you choose the best of that and breed those forward. You know, that's and a lot of other breeders don't care. They purely care about the gene count and slamming as many genes together and making that banana as fast as they possibly can.
Yep. Yeah, I don't understand that process. Like, I mean, I'm getting better at the whole. I'm one of those people where it's hard for me to move breeder females, even if I don't breed them. I mean, I have quite a few bigger animals, and I don't breed them all. You know, I still have a purple golden child that I hatched out that's probably 8 years old. Never bred her. She's small. I like her, but it's one of those snakes. It's like I was always waiting for the right male to have for her to mate to breed her, and now. You know, my ultimate plan with her is I want to breed the Phantom, Sun Tiger, Anthrax to her and make some double heads, right? So now, and then I picked up that big Tiger double head purple Anthrax, so that girl will finally have her place to breed for me, and once I breed her, she'll be gone. And I'm kind of getting better at that, letting females go, which I'm terrible at, but...
She made some phenomenal babies, by the way.
Who's that? Who's that?
That Tiger...
the Tiger double head? Yeah, I know, dude. That's what I mean. So it's,
he made one hell of a clutch. Like some beautiful.
I know. I saw that purple sun that Shane had when he had that snake. Yeah. I'm like, dude, I cannot wait to breed her and get some babies out of her. But yeah, it's the guys that just pump them out just to make them. I don't understand that process.
It's like some people literally are only in this because they want to write world's first on their post and what the animal looks like.
Yeah.
Like, no offense, I've seen some world first, man, that I may not even have posted.
Yeah. It's
it's
hard.
I respect the work that went into it. You know what I mean? It's like phenomenal what some of these people are putting into stuff. But if you think about it, it's like I wouldn't even want to try and make that.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense.
I think that's part of our problem as the industry too, though, is just there's everybody shooting for, which again, there's nothing wrong with the world's first, but like you said,
I respect it.
It's hard. It's a very, like you said, it's a fine line.
It's a fine line. Yep.
And I don't know. It's hard. I love making the world's first. I think it's awesome to make something no one else has seen before. But I don't know.
They shouldn't keep recreating them just to recreate them. They should try and focus on making it the best of what their goals are. It's like
my Phantom Sun Tiger Anthrax, I made him. He's the first one. He's still the first one out. There's not another one, and he's not really that nice looking. He kind of looks like shit, to be completely honest with you. Brown and white stripe down his side, but I don't really plan to make more of them at this point. I made him, and he's a good breeder now, so I'll try to make one more gene on him or add a platinum to him. Well, I do have a platinum, but yeah.
That was the final straw with my genetic stripe stuff, man. I made the Golden Child Sunfire had genetic stripes, and the heads looked phenomenal at the time. That was like kind of groundbreaking for me. I was like thrilled with how the heads looked, and I was pumped with how I thought the visual might look. I thought it was a really good chance. And then Prehistoric Pets made a visual, and I had been raising these things for years, and I was just like, you know what, boom, gone. That was the last one with genetic stripes stuff. I got rid of it all.
Yeah, Genetic Stripe's one of those things that I love it. I owned them for a long time.
I did too.
I actually have one. I kept my Platy Phantom Genetic Stripe that I made just to have her because she's beautiful. But I don't know if I'll really make any more stuff. She's small at the right now, so I don't really care. I'll keep her in a rack until she's too big. Then I'll decide what I'm going to do with her. But yeah, it's hard, man. There's a lot of stuff out there.
For me, Genetic Stripe, man, just peaked with the Ghost Genetic Stripe.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best looking Genetic Stripe that's ever going to be made, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like the orange glow. I saw Travis showed me a picture, or somebody posted it. The orange glow that was made overseas, which I was pretty impressed with.
I don't think I saw that one, actually.
It's pretty freaking nice, man. And I don't know if anyone's made an Indo Caramel one yet. I don't think so. But I think an Indo Caramel might look really good.
It could.
Like the Mochinos are kind of meh. Like they're cool, but I don't know. I'm kind of phasing out of the Mochino stuff. I kind of am leaning more towards that orange glow stuff now, more and more and more.
I'm done with Mochino, man. I've got that Mochino Hog's Male that is a gorgeous animal.
Yeah.
And, I got rid of my adult females because I don't even want to breed them.
Yeah, there's certain animals I really like. Like I love that Mochino Sun Anthrax I got from Travis's. Probably one of the coolest snakes I own. Honestly, like I have that snake actually in the rack next to my Hypo, and I honestly think that snake looks better than Hypo. It's pumpkin orange. It looks phenomenal. But
for now,
but I do want to see. I want to see some orange glow. Is the plan? I think an orange glow Anthrax will end up being better.
How's that Pos Hypo that you have?
It's supposed to be 100% head Hypo.
But it could be a Hypo though, right?
Could be. It's not. It looks like every Ultra I've ever seen in my life. It's.
Are you seeing any kind of? I know you stare at it. Have you seen any kind of like hints towards it being 100% het? Can you type or something? Or
no. I mean, from what my understanding was, talking to. I mean, I've seen the ones that I know Bob was saying are the visual Hypos.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so clean. They're just clean and yellow from head to tail, and this one is super dirty looking. And I mean,
gotcha.
He says it came from a Hypo breeding of fire. It was a fire tiger.
A lot of the het Hypos are really dirty looking, so I'm not surprised that the Ultra het is a really dirty animal.
So I don't know if I'm going to even keep her, in all honesty. Like, I like her. She's cool. But at the end of the day, I'm like, man, kind of still wish I would have had just a normal het Hypo.
Yeah.
Instead, or I don't know. I'm getting I have a Platy Phantom Tiger het Hypo female I'm doing with a buddy who's kind of getting out of snakes. He got one from Michael Powell that he's wants to get rid of, and I'm kind of like, well, why don't you send it to me and let me raise it?
You said it's a female?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't even let any females go. I thought
it's like 10 feet, 10 or 11 feet. She's good size. Not that I want to do Platy Hypo Tiger to Platy Phantom Tiger hat, but I mean,
you can still make what you want out of that collection.
And I really like the Platy. I saw the Platy Phantom Hypo that Keith and Tim made, and that thing is in person, man. That thing is very neat looking.
You saw it in person?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he was asking me what I thought, if I thought it was Hypo or not, and it's Hypo. There's no doubt in my mind that that's
when they first hatched and they were in their egg scan, man, I wasn't even convinced they were actually Hypo.
The pattern on the snake looks so weird.
He posted that updated picture.
Yeah, I mean, it looks. Yeah, it's super weird looking. I mean, it was the weirdest. That was the weirdest baby in the whole clutch. So, I don't know. I mean, that's. I'm waiting. I've been feeding the shit out of my male. I mean, he's got a meal in him constantly because I'm. He's going to my Anthrax Tiger as soon as he's ready. He's going to the Anthrax Tiger like instantly. So,
yep.
I really, and then I'm thinking like, what do I put him to? I wasn't really gonna do it, but I think I might put him to my cow, my GC cow. I don't know. I don't know what else. I want to get it to the Anthrax right off the bat, and I want to get it into something albino like
purple. Has anybody made GC heads yet?
No.
Now that you know of?
No, the only ones I know were the Phantoms. And
I think the GC Hypo is worth making for sure.
I think a GC Hypo could be cool. And so that was my other thought, was breed him to my purple GC female. Purple, I don't know if purple might look cool in it or might be a bust. I thought you know, everyone told me when I got my Platy Phantom, the first one, breed it to a purple, and I don't think it's going to look good. And I kicked my fucking self in the ass for not doing that because I would have been a year or two ahead of Jeff or anybody else on Purple Phantom stuff.
Yep.
And I didn't do it, and I regret that decision so much. So, but so this one I'm going. I mean, I'm sure Bob will do it, or if he hasn't already done it, but I'm going to put him right to a purple.
Yeah.
So you need to take him to an ocelot, dude.
Fuck,
That's what you needed. A 10-year project on your hands.
I'm mentally weighing all my options right now on what I want to do with those two females. They're coming to a point where I need to decide what I want to do soon.
We'll talk, buddy. We'll talk.
I don't know.
It's hard. There's so many options. You want to make the right decision with the right projects, and
I don't know what to do with them, man. I really don't with those females.
Whatever you do, you got to go something more like visual, like pattern mutation. I think, like something cool, something wacky. Anthrax.
It's the fine balance. Like one of them, I'm going to breed the purple.
You have to.
Anthrax too.
You have to.
Ideally, I want to breed him to the one that's fully striped because I'm almost guaranteed she's going to prove to be het caramel.
Yeah.
And an orange glow sun tiger, 100% double head. Would not be a horrible thing to have in the whole back lab.
Fucking Christ, man. God damn.
Trying to stay ahead of.
I know. Every time you tell me a breeding, I'm like, dude, I got to start saving money for that. I got to start saving some money. I can't get ahead because every time I try to save some money, you got something else you're coming out with.
I do for the first time ever. I've got a couple of breedings too that I'm planning on doing, and I'm not going to be open about them. I'm going to keep.
That's good. That's good.
I'll let it be known once I do it. But I want to wait until there's actually eggs on the ground until I let it out. So I've got a couple of tricks up my sleeve. I
did that with that first blonde anthrax clutch. I didn't say shit. I was so excited, and then when you guys all came over and we cut the egg, and then I ended up not making one. That was like the biggest. That was the biggest kick in my balls. I'm like, I waited. I shut my mouth, didn't say nothing to like minus one or two people. And then I was quiet about it. And then, oh, look, I made the world at first. And then I didn't make it. And I felt like such an asshole for saying that.
I was there. I saw it.
I know. I was walking around Tinley the next day. I thought I was the baddest shit ever.
With that thing's eye color and the that back pattern we saw, I was convinced.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah. I made it. That next breeding, man, when Andrew was here and I saw the head on that thing, man, that eye looked like a fucking laser beam. I knew. I'm like, there's no way that's not it. So, yeah, I'm happy I made that. So hopefully going to make them in Super Tiger this year. Blonde Anthrax Super Tiger. We'll see. That'll
look good, man.
I'm going to use the brother. I'm going to use the brother to the visual because my visual's not ready. But he's the brother, the past head, the probable head is every bit.
Did he start slow?
The visual?
Yeah.
Not too slow. I just honestly I keep them at the bottom of the rack and it's cooler, and I'm afraid to feed them a ton of food because I'm afraid like they're gonna have issues. So once they get real dark, then I don't mind. So like the male, the blonde tiger that's a het, like he's kind of in the middle of a 221 now, and he eats huge rats.
I've never really raised any visual blondes. I had one blonde Super Tiger, but I got her as pretty much an adult that I had for a couple of years. If they get really, really dark, but then they stay hot for a while, do they lighten back up?
See, I've never seen that happen. Who was it? There was somebody, this was years ago, telling me that they did it with a Super Tiger. It might have been that guy, Chad. I don't know if you ever met Chad or know who I'm talking about for sure, but he lives up by Gavin.
I don't think so.
Man, was it him? I don't remember. Somebody had a Super Tiger, and they kept it real dark, cold, got dark, and then they put it in the top of the rack or top cage, and it got real hot, and it lightened up. I don't think they will. At least not noticeably. I don't know. I'd be curious to take like my big blonde tiger girl and put her in like the top cage and like bump her heat to like 90 for like a month and see what she does. But
yeah,
I don't think they do. I don't think they'll lighten up.
Dark, though.
She is very dark. Yeah, but I mean, she's never been off the bottom of the rack, bottom cage. I mean, she's on my floor. I mean, I have a 2x2.
Who figured that out? Who actually figured that out?
Supposedly Gavin. But the only thing that I don't understand is Garrett, I guess, shipped a box of Retics to Gavin. And I guess Gavin wasn't home or something. They were sitting on his porch, and it was cold out. He got them, brought them inside, and when they opened the bag, they were, like, dark. So I don't know. I will say, though, like, I mean, that quick, I did have babies out of this last blonde clutch that I hatched. And, like, they went through their shed, and their first shed, I split the babies. I put the blondes, like, 3 or 4 tubs down, like, so maybe a tub off the bottom. Dude, when they shed, they were like lavenders after their first shed.
Right away.
So they hatched out AML looking. They started going through their first shed, and I noticed them getting a little dark, like right off the bat. They shed out, and they looked like lavenders. So I guess, I mean, I could see if they were sitting outside in cold-ass Wisconsin overnight, you know? I don't know, but...
Yeah, that's Gavin's MO.
I'll have to send you... I haven't taken a picture of this guy. I have a blonde Phantom Tiger that I got from me and a breeding me and my buddy Terry did. And he's like 6-7 foot breeder now. He's dark as shit. He looks super weird. He's got such a unique pattern and color to him. But I'll have to send you a picture.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, he's neat. So
I've always really liked blonde. I like talking shit about it because it's more funny than anything. But I personally really like blonde. It's just a thing that's like
it bums me out.
Cages.
It bums me out, man, because that would have been like the hottest shit ever if Mochino and like Indo Caramel didn't come around. Like that would have been like the shit, you know.
Yeah.
It was for a while, while, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of like that it's kind of more of a niche area. Like not everybody's into it. I've always liked doing that stuff. You know, a little different. Nobody. I don't know. Just kind of my deal. But Nick had a question for you. He wanted to know what you thought about Retic Ghost stuff.
Man, you know what? That's another one. I absolutely love Retic Ghost. I think it's stunning.
Dude, it's killer.
Like, the right Retic Ghost is just gorgeous. But I am so far behind that project. It's like starting a whole nother albinism project. It just I can't do it.
Yeah.
I don't have. For me to do it right, I would need to have 4 or 5 ghost gene animals.
Yeah.
I just can't. I can't afford the space and the time.
It'd be hard. It'd be hard to do.
But I love it. Some of the prettiest Retics ever produced have been Retic Ghost stuff for sure.
I mean, I remember sitting in Sal's basement when he hatched the first Ghost genetic stripe. Like that was still probably one of the highlights of my whole Retic being involved in the Retic world.
I think Ghost genetic stripe peaked. It's like I think that's the best genetic stripes ever going to look.
It was. I mean, seeing that snake and the egg was crazy. I mean, seeing them now, they're yeah, it's a phenomenal looking animal by far.
Yeah. But in general though, I'm a huge fan of Ghost. I love it. I would definitely even have one in my collection if the right one like hit. I could see having one as a pet. But as far as like starting a breeding project, I'm too far behind that.
It's hard because there's none. I've never seen one that's looked like that original ever to this day. That's the only problem. Like that original one was the best looking one.
I remember seeing that too. Yeah, what a
bone white with the blue on it, and just man, unbelievable looking.
The one we all missed out on is the purple pinks though.
Yeah,
like God, those things. Did you ever see any of those in person?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw them the year that Jeff brought them to Tinley. Yeah,
Tinley. Yeah,
they were weird looking.
Man,
super cool.
Still probably the coolest albinism I've ever seen in person.
I've heard rumors that there's some pos heads still floating around. Apparently, no, there's not.
I don't believe it. No, I mean,
that would be wild if somebody could prove it and bring it back.
I've kept fairly good track because I was pretty close to that project. I was never in on it, but I was real close to that project.
Yeah,
I kind of know where a lot of that stuff ended up, and I've talked to those people, and
they don't have them.
I think Gavin actually had the last one that was the great hope of reviving in that animal. But there was a point in time where like when Jeff Wilson inherited that project essentially, or took on that project, those animals were in really bad shape.
Yeah,
and a lot of them they rehabbed, but then going through the stress of breeding and the that additional, a lot of them didn't while after that.
Mm.
And then the visuals of the visual purple pink stuff. Jeff made, I believe, 4. There was a super tiger, a tiger, and 2 normals. And I know 3 of them developed the lower intestinal swelling that a Lucy does.
Really?
Yeah, right around the 6 foot mark. Real typical of a Lucy Retic. And,
Wow.
and I just think the project was doomed to begin with.
Damn.
Yeah.
It sucks, man.
They were cool though, man.
They were neat. They were super cool.
Yeah, that super tiger was crazy.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen anything like that before.
Yeah. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Man, well, yeah, that's some cool snakes out there. Can't believe we've been on here for an hour 40, man. Does not feel like that long at all.
I haven't even been paying attention.
Holy shit. I just looked up and like, goddamn, hour 40?
Sitting here running my mouth.
Wow. Shit, man. I gotta use the bathroom, but I don't know. We can wrap it up. We'll have to come do another one for sure. There's more stuff I wanted to talk to you about, but
yeah, man, I had a great time. We can
we'll definitely have to do another one for sure. Because
if it didn't bore everybody too much,
maybe we could do one a little earlier. It's late too, and I'm fucking getting exhausted anyways. So yeah, we'll have to do another one, buddy. So yeah, I appreciate you coming on, Aubrey. You are probably the man, one of the pillars, man, in the community for sure. All your badass projects, dude. So
it's been a long road to get here.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
but yeah, thanks for having me, man. I really
no problem. Like I said, we'll do it again, and I'll definitely have you on again. And we will we'll talk because I would like to get up to Nerd with you soon. So
cool.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. If you guys haven't, make sure you guys subscribe and come check out Retic Radio. So, all right, guys, take it easy.
Have a good night, guys.